right, awesome. So my name is Aja, and I am the Executive Director of STAND New Hampshire, and we are here today to represent the people that have been killed by police brutality, and just to let you guys know what we are about as an organization. So I just want to let you guys know that we stand for civil rights. We stand for liberties. We stand for equality. We stand for everything that is being taken away from us right now as melanated individuals. And you'll hear me say that instead of me saying black. I'm very careful how I speak with my words, and I want to make sure that everyone is being represented fairly. So when I say melanated, I want to make sure that people are identifying that it is not just black people, it's brown people, it's anyone that has melanin in them that is being held down, oppressed, anyone that is experiencing racism, okay? So when you hear that term, obviously know what I'm speaking of. So we are a nonprofit organization here in Keene, New Hampshire, and we do not have any political affiliation. However, the directors that are involved in STAND, their political affiliation does not fall onto STAND. So that means that we are very individual, and we have individuality just like everyone does in the community. We always want to respect that, okay? The next thing that I would like to address is our mission statement. So we are here, we are completely focused on education. And within education and educating yourself, you have an awareness and a responsibility to do something about what you have now educated yourself about, and to make sure that you are helping out your fellow brothers and sisters in your community in general. We are very much so a community affiliated in making sure that the right curriculums are being set in place to be able to teach the next generation, so that we are not constantly feeding them just European history. Melanated history is American history. There is a place for it, and it has been very much so suppressed and not taught, which promotes and feeds racism, and that's what we're completely about dismantling. I apologize if you guys could not hear me. So what I'd like to do right now, I'm going to speak a little bit more, but I just want to make sure that we all have enough time to address certain things, because a couple people are going to be speaking. So I would like to go ahead and let our mayor, George Hansel, go ahead and speak and just say a couple of words, because he is completely about what we are doing within the educational sector of New Hampshire, and making sure that we have support within all communities, again, uniting and coming up with a curriculum that supports that. So here's George, Mayor Hansel.
Thank you very much, Aja. When Aja came and invited me to speak today, she explained a little bit about what the organization is about. And it didn't take very long for me to sign on with this as an idea. Education. I don't know what future generations, where they're going to take the soul of this country. I really don't. But one thing I think we can all agree on is we want to give them an accurate and complete understanding of the landscape, so that they can determine their own path. And that's really where I see this. I want to make sure that young people, young kids, when they're growing up, they get to learn about the courage and the American heroes that existed in this country who are not white. Because when you're a kid, when you're a child and you're growing up, that's how you learn your values. You learn what happened. You learn an objective history. As Azar says, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that helps determine the type of citizen that you're going to be. I just think that's vitally important. Even before I ran for mayor, when I was campaigning for mayor, I knew that this was going to be not necessarily the education piece, but I knew that diversity, inclusion, us finally taking a look at ourselves in the mirror and having hard conversations about race that frankly are really overdue. When I grew up in this area, I didn't have very many conversations like that. It took me moving around the country, going to different places, being exposed to different culture, for me to really determine the type of person I wanted to be. For me to get my civic duty, my commitment to giving back to my community, my values. I owe all of those things to me being exposed to different people from different places and different cultures. And I think that really does start right in our classrooms. And everything that this organization is trying to do, I fully support. I also want people to realize, though, that this is a long-term play. This is a multi-year, multi-decade initiative. Coming out for a weekend, building up all this great positive energy with lots of people is great. That's a great start. But you really want to solve the problem, you have to figure out, how do we sustain this many years into the future? How do we activate new people in recognizing this as a priority? I can commit to you as mayor that this is a priority for me, and this is a priority for our city. But I welcome your ideas. We need leaders. We need more leaders involved on the inside. There are lots of committees. I'm going to give a shameless plug. One of my responsibilities as mayor is I get to appoint hundreds of people for different citizen committees, and that's how the city runs. If you want to serve your local community and be a part of the change in that building over there, reach out to me. I need your help. I need your leadership ability. I need your ideas and your experience. But thank you. Thank you for having me today. Thank you all for coming out, and the work just continues from here. I'll leave you with this one thing. It was something my grandfather said to me, and it's a cliche, but I like it, right? Society grows when people plant seeds for trees that they know they'll never be able to enjoy the shade of. We're growing society right now. We're planting seeds today, elm seeds for the Elm City. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me in the back now? Okay, perfect. So I just want to add to that too. I've been obviously doing a lot of logistical work, with the organization, making sure that we are seen as an actual organization here in the state of New Hampshire. And I've come across the same thing, which does not seem to make sense with me. We are actually trying to fix a problem that was created on a consciousness that was created on the problem, which means you cannot fix a problem that was created on the same consciousness, which you cannot fix something if you don't identify the root of it. And that's what we're doing. We're identifying the root of it, which is education. We have to educate, and we have to start young to make sure that people are having these conversations, again, about race and addressing them instead of being silenced. We have to make sure that it's not going to be with my generation. It's not going to be with my children's generations. It's not even going to be with the generation after that. However, once again, we plant that seed, it will grow. Even though we will not see that shade, we will feel it. And that's how you consider to make change. I know that there's not, very many of us right now, which I am so grateful for the ones that came. Thank you so much. Because that shows me that there are people in this community that are willing to say, listen, I am going to do whatever I can to make sure that change happens, and I'm going to stop, and I don't want to see things happen that I don't want in my community. A lot of people think that standing around with signs and protesting, which is a beautiful thing, I completely am with you on that. However, that's not going to sustain longevity. That's not going to help it so that we can make change where we need to, which is in the governmental systems, which is contacting the legislature, which is contacting the Congress and make sure that we're implementing new laws so that we can make sure that that change is sustainable. We have to grow as a nation, and by growing, yes, that means addressing the very hard truths of actually what happened to create America. And that also means addressing every person, again, that is melanated and what they did in respect to help this country grow. So with that being said, I would like to now introduce my associate director who would like to speak to you as well. So this is Katie Jenkins.
Every time I prepare myself to speak to you all, the community, I think really, really, really hard about what I'm going to say. I do that because I come from a long line of successful Black people, something that I'm very proud of. Every couple of years we have a family reunion, and every Sunday we sit in the church, and one of my cousins, various of them are preachers, pastors, and whatnot, will we'll have a service, and every year we talk about how we have to be better than what we are. Every single day we have to be a little bit better than what we were yesterday, because we're not given any chances, we're not given any do-overs. It takes that 1 second, split second, one mistake, and your life's over. And that's something we carry very heavily in our family, and it's something that we always think of when we do anything. So every time I come out here to speak, that's what I think about. So I can come across to you as a good person, as an articulate person, as a successful Black person. Well, today and this week, you know, when I thought about what I was going to say to you guys, I was angry. I was mad because I've been once a month since May, June. I've been standing on this gazebo and on other various platforms speaking, and speaking well. You know, I'm a writer. I pride myself on meaning what I say and saying what I mean. But I can't keep standing here and saying the same things to you over and over and over again. And quite frankly, as a Black woman in America, I have a right to be mad. I have a right to stand here and be upset, because I live in a community full of people who will look at me and say, well, what are we supposed to do? Anything. You're supposed to be better than you were yesterday. That's what you're supposed to do, just like me. If you look around at all of your neighbors here, you notice that there's not a ton of people here today. That's okay. But I want you to reflect on that. You know, we pulled this together in about 2 weeks, so it was a little short notice, but we put it everywhere. We put it everywhere we could. We reached out to anyone we could, because we want to talk to everyone. Not just Democrats, not just Republicans, not just people on our side, not just people not on our side. What is a side? We are all people. We all live on this planet, and I want to see all of you. And today I only see some of you, and I'm grateful for the some of you that are out here. But I hope that when you leave today, you think, I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. And I hope you talk to somebody else and you tell them, I'm going to be better than I was yesterday, and I think you should be too. And then maybe in the future, it's more than this. You know, when this started, I was moved. I was so moved because there was a protest out here, I think in May, after the extremely unfortunate murder of George Floyd. And there were so many people here. And I thought to myself, I've lived here my whole life. I have been called the N-word about half a mile that way on my way to my job. And I'm astounded to see all of these people around me who say that they care, who say that Black Lives Matter. But May ended, and June came, and there were a couple less. Then June ended, and July came, and there were a few less. And here we are today, and I don't see the same thing I did before. Where are they? Where is our community? The last time we were here on July 4th, somebody asked, if this is such a big deal, where are all the Black people? I said, I'm right here, and that's enough. If there is one person in your community that is hurting, that is struggling, then you should be hurting too. You should feel that too. So what we're doing here is about education, sure, and I have all kinds of gripes about the education system, and I could go on all day long, but what I want for you guys to get out of me today is to be a little bit better and to push our community to be a little bit better. And then when New Hampshire becomes better, Massachusetts will become better. They're saying, look at them, look what they're doing. They're better than they were yesterday. Why aren't we doing that? One at a time. This crowd is small now, but one at a time. The more people you reach out to, the more people that you're compassionate with, the more people you care about, the larger this will become. And it can be bigger than Keene. It can be bigger than the Monadnock region. It can be bigger than New Hampshire. But that's not just up to me. It's not just up to Aja. It's not just up to anybody. It's up to everybody. We all have to do that together. Period.
Thank you, Katie, and that is why she is my associate director. That was truly amazing. And everything that she touched base on, I hope that you guys heard it within your hearts and within your being and not with your ears. I don't ever want to speak and have people hear me with their ears. Because again, we need to realize that there is no black, there is no white, there is no brown, and there is the human race. We are one race, one people. However, we get so divided and we get so distracted by all these many things of what's happening that we forget that. And we forget to love, and we forget the peace. And we forget that, honestly, love comes naturally. There is nothing that is as natural as love and as helping a person out and as identifying with them. So when we are hurting the melanated people within the community and our neighbors don't do anything about it and our community members don't do anything about it, that's a sad fact, because right there, that is a disconnect. And that is saying right now that you have been disconnected from society and disconnected from the world, disconnected from nature, that you cannot feel the pain that is being expressed through so many people crying out and saying, stop, we want to be heard, we need help, what can we do, how can you help us? So when you look at that disconnect, you really have to look within yourself and say, why am I not affected? Am I not affected because I have no stake in the game? Am I not affected because it's directly not affecting me? And that's sad, because a lot of people do feel that way. I mean, again, I am so blessed that everyone that has showed up actually has showed up for the right purpose and for the right reason. However, everyone else, it's not okay. It's not okay to stand for a month. It's not okay to stand for a day just to make yourself look better and to put it up on your Facebook and to say, this is what I did today and I proved something. You didn't prove a damn thing. The only thing that you proved was that you are not for your community, you are not for the people, and you do not stand. You fall just like everyone else and you follow behind. So that is what we're here doing differently today. We're making sure that we stand for all of these many different things. And that's why I'm so proud, and I'm blessed too to have each of you stand with me. And you'll see us with the t-shirts that says stand. You know, always stand up. And I can yell that, and I can say it again, and I can say it again. Always stand up. What exactly does that mean to some people? Because some people will tell me, well, I stood, I did everything I could, and yet nothing changed. And that's the problem. Because you didn't do everything you could as a community. There is no I. I cannot do this alone. I thought I could stand for everyone. I really did. I thought me coming up here, me speaking at many different rallies and many different protests and putting stuff on my Facebook page, I thought I could stand for everyone and be like, I represent change. However, that's a complete lie. It was fake. I can stand in order to educate you to stand on your own. I can stand to make sure that you're standing on your own, which then you can help the next person stand, and you can help the next person, which then that's the cycle. That's the ripple effect that we want. We want to make sure that everyone is educated to the point where once you're educated, you have a responsibility to make other people aware of what is happening. You have a responsibility to share that right. You have a responsibility to share that truth. Because sometimes you think you can stand alone and it doesn't work that way. We always need help. And help comes in many different forms. So I just want you to I want everybody to think about that. You know, today we're here, we're standing together, and we're united as a community. And the best part is, our unity stretches so wide, because I don't even live in Keene. I see other people who don't even live in Keene and who live in many different places. However, you received the message, which means everyone received that same message. And yet you guys are the ones that decided, you know what? We need to really do something about it. And we have to make sure that we're moving forward in a way that is going to create specific change. So next I'm going to introduce Samuel Webb, and he is the Director of Education with STAN New Hampshire.
How's that sound?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what, I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that up. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that up. I didn't practice anything. All right. liberation through education. Advocation for representation. Let me tell you a little anecdote, a story from a culture, I'm not quite sure which. I think it's been told in several. About a mighty hero who wanders into a city that's run by a tyrant, a mad king. The mad king has known of this hero for some time, so he invites him into his court and he provides him with a feast and riches and women, and he says, "Stand by my side. I'll provide you with everything that you need." Hero says, "I have to think about that." So he walks the streets. He stands among the people. And they can offer him nothing. But they beg for his ear and they say, "Sir, please, my family is suffering. Our people are suffering. We are not being heard. Please, won't you fight for us? Please, won't you tear down this mad king for us?" And Hero says, "Well, I have to think about that." So the next day, the hero is scheduled to leave the city, and the king offers him a platform in order to say goodbye to the people, raise morale. And the hero stands before the people and he says, "You know, some of you the other day asked me, begged me to fight for you. And I'm here to tell you now that I won't do it. I can't do it. I am but one man, and though my exploits may be legendary, I slay this tyrant, I slay this king, and what do I create but a power vacuum to be filled by someone just like him? And how did he even get here in the first place? Is this not your city? Do you not stand for something better? Do you not already know what needs to be done? No, I will not fight for a people who refuse to fight for themselves. I can only supply you with the tools to stand." Pop quiz. Who can name the 3 branches of government? Raise your hands tall. No. Yeah, you should be proud to know that information. All 3 houses. The legislative, executive, and the judicial, right? And now we should all be raising our hands, because now we all know, right? The executive, that's the popular one. The President of the United States, mayors, things like that. Very powerful people. They have a lot to say, they have a lot of pull. But the legislative, that one gets slept on a lot. People don't seem to understand that this country was built on the idea of representation, of having someone in the House speaking for you, representing you, letting your voices be heard. But somewhere along the line, everybody I know, they all said, politics is a headache, man. They got the same person sitting in the same chair doing the same thing every day, and I don't understand any of it. Honestly, neither did I for a while. Until I sat down, read up, and realized that for the last several years, everyone has said, you know, really glad we have so-and-so in the presidential chair. Let's see if Congress actually lets them do anything. Mostly a joke for most people. Like, we'll see what he does if he keeps his promises. Isn't that a sign to you that we're not paying attention to the right people? That we're not researching the people who are sitting in the representative chair who can make meaningful changes? Now that's one section of the House, that's a big House. But even local government. I was very happy to see George Hansel win the election for mayor, by the way. I was very happy to see that, because I'd researched him. I'd looked into what he stood for, and I truly believed that he was the right man for the job. But then I was trying to have that conversation with many other people, like, hey, did you hear about George Hansel? Who? No offense. That's not your fault. I'm sure you had plenty of meetings. I'm sure you put out plenty of information. But people didn't take the chance to educate themselves, get out there, make their voices heard. Like you said, George, you need the people to speak. You need to hear what it is they have to say so that you can do it. Because otherwise, you're responding to what's happening. There's a disconnect in communication. And to a degree, that lands on us, the people. All I want you to take away from me today, all I want you to take away from this today, is information and the chance for advocacy. Let your voices be heard by us, by the representatives of your city and your state. Because how do we build lasting change? How do we plant the seeds for trees tomorrow? By educating ourselves and educating future generations and implementing definitive and progressive laws that are going to better our community and strengthen it so that every day we get a little brighter and every day gets a little bit better. But it's got to start here. It can't last for a month. It can't be a trend. I am so honored to be standing amongst all of you. I'm so happy to see all these faces out here today. This is truly inspiring. I don't care about numbers. I care about quality over quantity. I care about each and every one of you grabbing those pieces of paper there. I slaved over a hot printer, please. And arm yourselves. And that's what I hope to see. Period.
Thank you so much, Sam. You always get me. Speaking of that, I wanted to invite you guys to come over here and take a look at this paperwork that Sam did in fact slave over a hot printer to get to you today. We have cases, 5 cases from across the nation of people who have not received justice. And this just isn't this year or last year or the year before that. This goes back a while, so I encourage you to read up on these cases. Below them, there are QR codes where you can donate if you have the means, or you can sign a petition, or you can reach out to other organizations who may be going a little bit deeper into subjects such as law enforcement that we're not touching right at this moment. We want to give you guys all the resources possible to make a change. On the next table, there are letters to our officials. There are letters to the Attorney General, as well as Senators Jean Shaheen and Maggie Hassan, to pass some legislation so that what we're seeing in this country doesn't happen anymore. We do have the overview of that legislation as well, if you wanted to look at that before you sign the letters. But we definitely welcome you to come over and take a stand and make a change.